The preseason schedule for the Utah Jazz is released. Let's talk about the most interesting things and points. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, like always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you really want to help out, watch till the end, and even leave a comment. All right, so the Utah Jazz preseason schedule was released yesterday, but I had already done a writing thing about DeBonsa, and I did the video on Cam Johnson. Today, I wanted to talk about the preseason schedule. It's 4 games. It starts on Wednesday, October 8th. It ends on Thursday, October 16th. So, like always, but the first 2 games are away. Last 2 games are at home. First 2 games are at Houston and San Antonio. Last 2 are home against Dallas and Portland. I think those first 2 games are going to be just fascinating. This preseason, we're going to see, I think, 2 players that have a for sure starting spot for the Utah Jazz, and that's the biggest question for me going into preseason, is what is that starting lineup going to look like? So the for sure 2 starters, and I'm sure everyone will agree. I guess if you disagree, let me know in the comments, but Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, for sure going to start. Outside of those 2, that's where things get interesting. I wrote about this on SLC Dunk. You can go read about it there, but I'm going to talk about it here. So whatever you want to do. I think the most interesting thing about the preseason, number 1, is who starts. What is that starting lineup going to look like for Will Hardy? I know I did a video about this before, but after having talked about it, I did an NBA Reacts on SLC Dunk and got people's voting and opinions. I have my prediction for the starting unit, and this is what it is. So, starting at the 1 spot, I don't call it point guard anymore. I call it the 1. It's the lead guard, I guess. Walter Clayton Jr. The reason he had an exceptional summer league where Isaiah Collier, I don't feel as though he did. He had an injury in that summer league, and it kept him from playing, which really was not great. But in the 3 games he played in Salt Lake City. I can't remember if he played all 4 or rested 1, but he played well in Salt Lake City, and then he came and he played in Las Vegas. Cannot remember, I'll just be honest, if he played 1 or 2, but he left with the hamstring injury. But what was really impressive about Clayton is he played pretty well from the get-go and just got better and better and better as things went along. When it first started, I was a little bit nervous about his ability to play in the half court. There were some signs of just kind of confronting NBA size and athletes for the first time. But, you know, every player kind of confronted that, including Ace Bailey, including Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple. Dylan Harper, I don't know if he really ever got over it, to be honest, watching Summer League. He's going to be really interesting. Like, what if Ace Bailey's just easily the number 2 prospect in this draft after a little bit? We'll see. But Walter Clayton just played really well, and he figured it out as he went. He was just finding more and more ways to be efficient, not only in transition where he was awesome, but also in the half court. He was just doing really well in the pick and roll. He had some plays where his size and inexperience in the league showed, but he also showed a lot of great things with his shooting, his know-how, his toughness. He even showed some defensive chops. It'll be interesting to see how those defensive analytics come out when he starts playing. And I think it can't be underestimated that he is one of the first Austin Ainge picks. You know, I think the least tradable guys right now for the Utah Jazz, Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton. You know, less likely after that, you could argue who's less likely after that, I guess. But those 2 are the least likely to be traded. They're his guys. There's who he's starting with, and you can bet that he's going to be very interested in developing those 2, and they fit kind of a mold of what they want. So Walter Clayton Jr. at the 1. Sorry, I had a piece of food in my mouth and I finally was able to swallow it. All right, number 2, Bryce Sensabaugh is who I think is going to be at the number 2. I know we've talked about maybe Isaiah Collier, Keontae George. Personally, I think Bryce Sensabaugh has done enough to prove that he is that number 2. And I think he has the size that Utah probably wants. The shooting is absolutely there. And if Utah has really good shooting at each of these 4 positions outside of center, it really helps them out. I think Utah would prefer to have 5 shooters on the floor. I think that's definitely a Danny Ainge thing and an Austin Ainge thing and a Will Hardy thing that they would like. But if you can't, you better have 4. And one thing we know about Bryce Sensabaugh, 40-plus 3% three-point shooting from last year. It was like 65% in Summer League. It was just ridiculous shooting from 3. But he did it in all sorts of ways. He was scoring in a variety of ways. And I was going to talk, I've still got to do a Bryce Sensabaugh video, but I was surprised that his turnover percentage got better from year 1 to year 2. And I think that there's a chance that that gets even better. I mean, he's going to play off the ball a little bit. He does handle it. And if he can be a willing passer at that too, that's going to be the one weakness of that backcourt is playmaking. You know, Walter Clayton Jr. can definitely do it, but he is not the pure point guard or passer that I guess Isaiah Collier is more likely to be. So I think those two are going to have to be willing passers and be able to play and be playmakers in those positions at least a very willing level. They can't be just ball stoppers. They've got to move the ball within the offense. But I think Walter Clayton is extremely smart, and I think Bryce Sensabaugh has enough time under his belt with Will Hardy now that he knows the system, that he can move the ball within it. You don't necessarily have to have the Chris Paul, John Stockton point guards of old these days. You need to have shooters at all positions, and they also need to be able to be playmakers of their own. I guess I shouldn't say John Stockton. You know who the player that really doesn't happen anymore? It's like the catch and shoot 3, the Raja Bells of the world. No more are in existence. You know, the Bruce Bowens, where they're just defenders on one end and they just shoot the ball on the other. We live in a day and age where every player needs to be able to shoot, dribble, pass. And that sounds really simple, but it's not always something everyone can do. Bruce Bowen is not like a playmaker in any way, shape, or form. Raja Bell, great defender, good shooter. That's it, you know? And so that's what happens with Bryce Sensabaugh. That's what happens with Walter Clayton. Shoot, dribble, pass. They can do all of it. And then the other thing Utah needs is defense on the other end. So that's the thing that this duo is going to have to prove. Can they defend? I don't know what the defense is going to be like with those two. You know, so Utah definitely is not set as a team for contention, but I do think, I just hit the microphone. I do think those two are going to start and probably make the most sense with the team the Jazz have now. Okay, number 3, Ace Bailey. I think this is something the Jazz have to do. If they don't, maybe this is wishful thinking on my part. I'm trying to not get my hopes up and get crushed. But you know what? This is what they are already up. Their hopes are up, ready to be dashed. But I think Ace Bailey has to start. And I think, honestly, he will be someone they need to start him there. Who else plays the 3 outside of him? You could argue Lauri Markkanen, but Markkanen's more of a 4. He's not as athletic as Ace Bailey and can't defend like Ace Bailey does at the 3. And Taylor Hendricks, coming off injury, could probably play the 3, but I don't know if he's not more. To me, he's more of a 4-5 at this point. And with the injury, I wonder if it's going to be a little slow for him coming back. Utah is not going to want to rush him too much, and so I wonder if he comes off the bench. And you know, I think Taylor Hendricks can play 3-4-5, and maybe that's the move they make. Maybe it's Lauri Markkanen at the 3, Taylor Hendricks at the 4, and Walker Kessler at the 5. I just would much prefer Ace Bailey getting those starting units because I think Ace Bailey is a core part of the future. It's partly why I'm kind of pro trading Lauri Markkanen because I would like to give Taylor Hendricks those minutes at the 4, but it's okay. If a trade comes, I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of rambling here a little bit. I would like to see Ace Bailey start at the 3. I'm already spoiling number 4, but it's probably not a surprise that Lauri Markkanen at the 4, and then Taylor Hendricks comes off the bench and replaces either one. And that makes a lot of sense to me in terms of of front court. I think that is those interchangeable parts right there. And the thing that's nice about Taylor Hendricks is he can also come in and back up Walker Kessler. I think with how big and strong Taylor Hendricks is looking, he looks like a potential 5, at least in spot minutes, but maybe he can play it consistently. You know, that's going to be a really interesting storyline this season. Does Taylor Hendricks slip into that center spot at some point? I don't know. We'll see. Like we talked about, Walker Kessler is extension eligible right now. Utah could give Walker Kessler an extension right now. Both sides are saying they would like an extension, but it hasn't happened. So that tells me either Walker Kessler's asking for too much, or Utah is maybe okay giving him that amount, but wants to see him play another season, because Kessler has had one really good season, a bad season, and a pretty good season last year, right? It's not been like a home run every year. The rookie season was really nice. USA basketball happened and kind of got in his head, it seems like. He had a really down year 2, and then last year it felt like he improved, but he needs to show more consistency, and so that's what I'm sure the Jazz want to see. So anyways, I have already spoiled it, but I have Lauri Markkanen at the 4. I think that's probably his more natural position at this point and plays better there anyway. I think he can defend that position better, and I think he rebounds in that position pretty well. So I think that's where he needs to go. With John Collins gone, there is no worry about where Collins is going to play, and I honestly think Collins was Utah's best player last year. So they have moved John Collins. Lauri Markkanen gets the 4 spot, and that's pretty much in stone at this point, unless he gets traded. So I like that starting 4 outside of center, shooting at every position. We'll see how well the defense holds up, but I do think Ace Bailey is going to earn those minutes with his defense. And that's where I think it's going to be interesting with Lauri Markkanen. Can he defend at the 4 and show that he can defend? Otherwise, if he shoots it well and another team gives him a big offer and Utah feels like Taylor Hendricks is the future, then he might get moved. And then I've already spoiled it at 2, but Walker Kessler at the 5, I don't think anyone's surprised. And like I said, Walker Kessler just needs to show consistency. Can he consistently show great effort? Can he consistently rebound? Can he consistently offensive rebound? We know he's a good offensive rebounder. He does it really well. But can he defensive rebound? Can he be a dominant force night after night? Walker Kessler has to prove he's worth a contract, and Utah's going to be watching closely, and so we'll see how things go. Also, can he shoot free throws consistently? It's just not gotten much better. He needs to shoot those free throws better, or he is not going to be a player you can play in crunch time, because it will just be hack a Kessler, right? And so that's going to be interesting to watch. And then I think subs are obviously Isaiah Collier, Keontae George, and Taylor Hendricks off the bench. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a big-time move if they do that. Putting Walter Clayton Jr., who, by the way, is the same age as Keontae George, I believe, at this point. It's pretty interesting. I think that if he earns that spot, it's a big deal. It shows he really earned it. I don't think Isaiah Collier is the de facto best player to play at that starting spot. We'll see if Will Hardy does that. I think he wants these players to earn their spots, and so if Walter Clayton starts, it's because he earns it. So that will be interesting to see. The other thing I think it's going to be interesting to watch is, do the Jazz get blown out in those first 2 games? I am predicting they do, because the defense for Houston is top 5. It's incredible. They're going to come out ready to play, and Utah is a very, very young team, very, very new team with veterans that just got traded. That is a recipe for getting blown out. Now, do they come out and not get blown out? That would be incredible. I mean, if Utah in that first half, because, they're going to rest players in the second half, probably both teams. We'll see. But how does Utah do in that first half against an elite top 5 Houston defense? How do they look? Are they discombobulated? Do they play well? We'll see. But that is a huge test right off the bat. I mean, guys, I'm so excited to watch it. I can't believe we got to wait until October 8th to watch, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But that is going to be the big test. And San Antonio is going to be, I think they are going to be a very good team next year. Wembanyama is going to be very good. I think he's going to be in the running for DPOY, possibly MVP if he plays really well. You've got Stephon Castle. He is going to be someone that is going to come out and ready to prove himself. De'Aaron Fox is I don't know if he's a great defender, but he's a quick and solid defender who steals the ball. And then you've just got veterans on that team now. Vassell, I think, is probably, I don't know what to, I'll be honest, I don't know Vassell enough to really say here or there how good a defender he is. But, you know, Harrison Barnes, nothing to scoff at. That team, and I can't remember if Barnes got traded or not. But either way, that team is going to be interesting. I think they're going to be good. And it'll be interesting to watch. How does Utah play against them? Dallas and Portland, it's going to be a fun matchup against Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey. Does Ace Bailey look good against Cooper Flagg? That's going to be fun. And then Portland, my guy Scoot Henderson and that Portland team with Yang Hansen. I like the last name. It's a good one. We'll see how well the Jazz do against that. All right, guys, that's really all I've got. I cannot wait till preseason. What are you looking forward to preseason? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to the video. Shout out to the All-Stars. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to everyone. I will talk to you next time.